Hi, today I'm staying in a travel lodge close to the centre of Manchester, and it's one that I've stayed in a couple of times before, although I haven't stayed here for a long time. And I decided to stay here tonight, to be perfectly honest, because it was fairly cheap. And it's actually proved to be a really good decision, because this is one of the better travel lodges in Manchester, and as long as you come at the right time, it can actually be a bargain. Now, this is the Manchester Central Arena Travelodge, which is about 10 minutes walk away from Manchester Arena. And when I say Manchester Arena, I'm referring to the one in the city centre. There are actually two big arenas now. The other one is near the Etihad Stadium. But this is the one in the city centre, right next to Victoria train station. And this travel lodge is about 10 minutes walk from the arena. Now, the reason I say it can be a bargain is because when there's an event on at the arena, it can actually become very expensive, as I discovered myself a few years ago. But as long as there's no event on at the arena, the prices are actually very, very reasonable. And it's a good quality travel lodge as well. And it's literally less than 20 minutes walk to all the shopping centre and all the other tourist attractions in Manchester. So it's very central. And depending on when you actually book a room, it can also be quite cheap as well. The problem comes if you decide to stay when there is an event on at the arena. And just to give an example, a few years ago, I booked a room for literally £25, which is an absolute bargain. And then soon after, Adele announced a tour of the United Kingdom, which included Manchester Arena. And believe it or not, the price of the room literally quadrupled overnight. And I think if you booked the same room literally the night before the concert, it was something like £200 for the night. So I was very, very lucky that I booked it for £25 simply because at that time nobody knew she was going to play at the arena. So the first thing I'd say is if you want to stay here, don't stay here if there's an event on at the arena, because it'll cost you at least £100 a night, probably more. And if you book it the day before, you could be looking at up to £200. As long as there's no event on at the arena, then this is a bargain. You'll get it at a cheap price, and it is very, very central for all the attractions in the centre of Manchester. Well, to begin with, I'm going to give you a room tour, and then at the end, I'll give you a few useful tips on staying here at the Manchester Central Arena Travelodge. So to begin with, the television, unfortunately a bit disappointing, just a little 28-inch TV. It's quite a nice telly, but it is a bit small. I prefer at least 32 inches. But it's okay because it's very close to the bed, so it's big enough to watch television at night. Nice comfortable bed as per usual. The beds are always really comfortable at Travelodge. And this is one of the new look rooms. It's not a Travelodge super room, but it is a new look room. So you get several features that you don't get in the normal standard rooms. So you get a nicer desk chair. You get some USB charging points, which means you don't have to bring your charger with you. You can plug it straight into the wall if you want to. And it's one of those super fast charging points, which is nice. I brought my charger with me anyway, but if you haven't got your charger with you, then that's fine. You've still got one of those charging points. Two nice chairs, a nice desk chair, and also a nice comfy chair, which you can sit on to watch TV. And that is much nicer than the old style plastic bucket chairs that you get in the older Travelodge rooms. In these new look rooms, they give you a much nicer chair. Usual problem that you always get in Travelodge, in fact you get it in just about every hotel anywhere in the world, and I mention it on all my films, and that is the problem about not enough coat hangers. Now fortunately I'm only staying here for one night. I'm here for a football match at the Etihad Stadium, so it doesn't really matter. I've got 5 coat hangers. I could have really done with more, but five's okay just for one night. There is a restaurant and a bar at this hotel. Never bother with them myself because the drinks are too expensive and the food isn't very nice. Plastic kettle, which is a disappointment. I always prefer a metal kettle. The window's not that big either, so you don't get a lot of natural light, but it doesn't really matter. You've got a bit of a view of Manchester city centre there. You can see how close we are to the city centre. Probably about 10-minute walk and you're right in the centre of the city, so it's very, very handy, very convenient. I'll take a step back now just so you can have a look at the room just to see how big it is. And as you can see, it's not really that big. It's okay, it's adequate. I'm only here for a night. If I was here for 2 or 3 nights, fine. I wouldn't want to stay here any longer than a couple of nights, to be honest, because it is quite a small room. Not too bad though, I've stayed in worse. Didn't need to use the heater. It's one of those electric heaters that they have in most travel lodges, and it's quite warm, so don't really need to use that anyway. Let's have a quick look in the bathroom. Well, the bathroom's tiny. It's adequate. It's extremely clean, which is good. Top marks for cleanliness. You get the usual stuff, a little wash hand basin, toilet, usual big mirror. You don't get the hairdryer provided, but as I say in all my films, if you stay at a travel lodge, then just go to reception and ask them and they will give you a hairdryer. A lot of people don't know that, but you can get a hairdryer at reception. They don't put them in the rooms. Shower was fairly powerful. I do prefer the showers that have a hose, and that doesn't have a hose, but it doesn't really matter. I really don't like the shower curtains because water just goes all over the floor. And if you stayed at a travel lodge with a shower curtain, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Tiny bathroom really, to be honest. It's functional, it's very clean, it does the business, it does the job, but it's not the height of luxury. It is pretty basic. Well, as you can see from my room tour, it's pretty much the same as most travel lodges around the country. The rooms are fairly small, but that's not really a problem. They're certainly comfortable, very clean. The bathroom again small, but very, very clean. And generally, I've been very impressed. It's certainly a lot better than some of the other travel lodges that I've stayed in Manchester, and I have stayed in most of them. And I'd say this, in terms of quality on the inside, is one of the best I've stayed in. Just a few tips. Firstly, there isn't a tram stop that close to here. The nearest is actually at Victoria Station, which is about 15 minutes walk away. But it is an easy walk. It's a nice straight walk, and it's nice and safe as well. I walked late at night, very late at night last night, and perfectly safe around this area. There's lots of stuff nearby. There's takeaways, there's a Domino's pizza across the road, but you don't really need it because you're so close to Manchester Centre anyway. I think one bit of advice I would give, which I'm just really reiterating what I said at the start, and that is you have to be very careful when you choose to stay here. And I would advise people to book well in advance if you are going to stay here, because often there are quite famous acts who play at the arena. I'm talking about internationally famous acts. It's one of the biggest arenas in Britain, and often they don't announce their concerts until later on, and as soon as they announce those concerts, the prices literally shoot up. I mean, exponentially. It's crazy the way that the prices go up. So if you are thinking of staying here, you need to book well in advance before any concert is announced. Now, this might sound a bit counterintuitive, but if you are coming to Manchester for a concert at the arena, then my advice actually would be don't stay here, because you'll just be paying well over the odds. And there are actually other travel lodges and other cheap hotels that are perhaps about 20 minutes walk in the other direction that are a lot cheaper. So it's a bit counterintuitive, but if you're coming here for an event at the arena, then don't stay at this hotel. But if you're coming not for an event, then actually it's a good hotel to stay at. If you're coming for an event and you want a cheap hotel, then you can get other hotels. And have a look at my YouTube channel. You see all sorts of reviews on other hotels in Manchester, which actually are cheaper. People see the word arena on the name Travelodge Central Arena, and they assume that this is the nearest. But in actual fact, you could stay at the one in Piccadilly or Ancoats or Salford, or there's lots of others which won't take you much longer, but will save you a lot of money. Well, I hope you found this useful. My name's Darren Bugg. I do lots of reviews of hotels, budget hotels mainly, all over the United Kingdom, especially in the big cities like London, Manchester, Leeds, Birmingham, those sort of places. Please subscribe and don't forget to have a look around my channel because I make lots of other films on all sorts of other subjects. Until next time, happy travels and I'll see you again soon.